Hey everybody, this is dumwaldo from vaporsforum.com, and I'm going to talk to you today about the Mako. This is made by Tim at smokejuice.co.uk in the United Kingdom. It's also available through Jason at electronicsticks.com in the United States. I'll put up links for both of those addresses so that you don't have to try and write them down right now. The Mako ships in a really nice package. It comes with this metal tin that you can use to store stuff in after the fact, or whatever you want to do with it. But it's definitely a nice touch that's a little bit nicer than the plastic bubble wrap that most mods arrive in nowadays. It has a couple of different options available. This is the base kit. This is known as the Mako MIDI. This is the middle size, and it uses 2 CR2 batteries or a 14500 battery. There's also a smaller tube available as an add-on that you can get that's called the Mako Minnow, that will allow it to function with a single CR2 battery at 3.7 volts or a 14250 battery, which is commonly found in the mini pipe. You can also get a slightly longer tube that can accommodate a 14500 battery for longer life vaping at 3.7 volts. There's also adapter options that you can change out the options for what atomizer you're going to use. The package comes with an 801 included, and you can buy an additional 901 or 510 adapter that can be screwed into the adapter cap on this, so that you don't have to use these stupid little silver adapters that everybody has that cause problems. Some atomizers work, some don't work. This is shorting my mod out, this made my batteries explode. I don't like those adapters. I much prefer to use the native connection, the equipment that was designed and made to go into the mod that I'm using it with. So I like that there are adapter options that you can get from them. So let's talk about the good, the bad, and the insides. The good, the size of this device is just great. It's about as small as you can get for a 6-volt device, and I can hide it in my hand. It's really comfortable, it's not too thick, it's a very good size in my opinion. The other good point about it is the button. That's the amount of travel that the button takes to activate. It's very, very little travel, so it's remarkably easy to press that button and not have to suffer fatigue. A lot of end mod buttons, I get a cramp in my hand through here because I have to push so far on that button, and it travels so far that it's like doing a pinky exercise. This one is so remarkably easy to push. It's just every time I hit it, I'm hitting it perfect with no problems. It doesn't matter if I hit up on the top edge of the button, if I hit the center of the button. The button being the size of the mod itself has been really helpful, and I just have to give this button great, great marks for pushability. It's also a locking button. Now, there's a positive engagement point where the button kind of locks into place and doesn't twist so easily, and there's two of those. There's one where it's on, and there's one at 180 degrees away where it's off. But that doesn't mean it has to stay in that 180 degree position. If it turns a little bit, it still won't push. There's only 1 degree in that 360 degree circle where the button is pushable. If I turn it a half a degree, it's no longer pushable anymore. So it's really going to take a lot of work to get that button to push while it's in your pocket if you lock it before you put it into your pocket. See? Locked, unlock. It works great. So let's talk about some of the bad points of this. Now, the first thing that's immediately noticeable is when I got my Mako, the adapter end and the button end both had a nice glossy brass finish to it. You can see the light reflecting on the threaded part that's exposed. You can see how shiny that was, and the end cap itself got tarnished very easily. I fell in love with this device as soon as I got it, and it has not left my hand. I got it a week ago, and I've used it every day since then. It's been in my hand constantly, non-stop, and because of that, the button and the cap have tarnished very quickly. There's no more shine to them. There's also a slight problem with the anodizing. I have a couple of pock marks in one side that are probably going to be difficult to see on this camera, and there's a scuff mark on the other side. I've spoken to Jason about this, and he told me that there were some anodizing problems with the first run of them, and in the future, Makos will not have these same issues. But I got one of the first run ones, and I've got some imperfections in my tube now because of it. Another bad point about this is that it didn't come with any instructions. And when it came with, it had these rubber gaskets. You can see there's a black seal that goes around the button. There's no black seal around the adapter. When I got it, there were rubber gaskets on both of them. I threw my CR2 batteries into it, I put an atomizer onto it, I hit the button, and nothing happened. Because I'm using unprotected batteries, and this device was designed to work with protected CR2 batteries. So the distance between the two caps was a little bit too far for the batteries that I had, and when I pressed the button, it wasn't engaging them all the way. So I had to take it apart, take one of those O-rings off, and then everything would work fine. But there were no instructions, there was nothing to clue me in on how to do this, I just had to figure it out on my own. So the lack of instructions and the fact that you do need to remove these and do some adjustments to make things work right, that is also a negative in my opinion. Now the final bad is a big bad in my opinion. It's a very big bad that could have been solved very easily. The adapters that go into this center part right here, they screw in from the back. The 901 and the 801 adapters, they screw in from inside the adapter cap. Now because of that, you screw your adapter in, and when you screw an atomizer onto it, it is possible to de-thread the adapter and cause it to protrude out of the adapter further than it was intended to. That also will mess with the button. Now the reason why that's dangerous is because when I have my mod together, I have my button locked, so it can't turn, it can't be activated. But when I screw my atomizer on, if I'm not very careful and I screw it too far, it activates the atomizer. So you have to be really careful about putting your atomizers on and off this. And that could have been corrected by adding a set screw in the adapter. If there was a set screw that went down and locked on that center part of the adapter, this wouldn't be an issue. Because it is a potential issue and it's easy to just twist the atomizer and activate it with these adapters, I opt to use the 510 adapter most of the time. The 510 adapter, unlike the 801 and 901 adapters, screws in from the outside of the Mako. I can actually put the Mako together. So you see there's no adapter in there, you just see the positive terminal on the battery. And I can screw this in from the outside. Because this screws in from the outside, it can't screw too far into the mod and cause a problem. And of course I'm not getting it screwed in because I can't grab it. You know, this whole system, it's really nice to have these adapters that can change and you can use your native adapters, but the system, in my opinion, was not entirely thought out very well and has some potential hazards to it. So it's important to make sure that your Mako gets set up properly and you don't accidentally fire your atomizer without realizing it. You can burn out your atomizer, you can short out your batteries, and you can cause a battery explosion that way. See, the button travels so little that I turn it to the lock position, I go to hit it, I don't even realize that it's still locked because the button has such little travel to it. It's a great device if you've got some common sense and some experience with mods. You'll really enjoy this. If it's your first mod, you might want to consider something different because there are some issues with this that could turn very bad very easily. So the only thing left to show you that I haven't shown you is the button. The inside's on the button. Now the button is a pretty simple device. It's a plastic center post that's set on a spring that keeps the tension on your batteries and keeps them pushed tight to the adapter. When the button is pushed, there's a center post that comes up. You can see that there's a little retaining ring. See, there's a retaining ring, and you can see there's a little space between the retaining ring and the button assembly. And when the button is not pushed, there's no space there. It's nice and tight. So all that's really happening is when you press the button, it pushes that center column up, it makes contact with the negative end of the battery, and completes the circuit. It's a very simple design, there's very little to go wrong with it, it works phenomenally well. So that's about it. This is the Mako from smokejuice.co.uk, being sold at electronicsticks.com. I'm dumwaldo from Vapors Forum, and I did this review with no pants on. Vape on.